Hello, Julie here, and thank you for joining me here today. Today I am sharing with you some more embellishments that I've made for my Cinderella Little Golden Book journal. I'm going to start by making a tag, and I'm going to use paper out of this book to make that tag. Now this is an old book. We actually had this set of books when I was a child, but I bought this one at the op shop, so it's not my original one. I've torn out some pages and I want the tag to be reasonably thick, so I am using a glue stick to layer one page on top of the other, so I've got a double thickness. Even though the paper in this book is quite thick, it wasn't thick enough. I'm going to do this so that I end up with 2 pages because I need to be able to sandwich my transparency between 2 sheets of paper, so I'm going to actually end up with my tag being 4 sheets of paper thick. Now, because the base colour of this page is a sort of creamy colour and the base colour of my journal is white, I'm giving a coat of gesso over the top of the text. It also helps to just push that print to the background a little. I am watering the gesso down as I go, so it's not getting a full strength, so I still will be able to see the print through the gesso. I'm going to do this to all of the pages. Originally I wanted to try and incorporate a colour on that paper that was about the same colour as the page I was going to add these embellishments to. I used my gelatos in an assortment of colours. I used what's that? Metallic melon, butterscotch, mango and tangerine, and I added that to that paper, and I used an assortment of ways of smoothing it out. So I'd apply the colour and then wipe over it with a baby wipe or a wet brush or just my fingers to smooth it all out and blend it all together. But in the end I couldn't get a colour that I was happy with, so I ended up not using the coloured side. I ended up turning it over and using the other side of the paper, which just had the wash of gesso over it. Now, as I said, I'm going to have 3 windows in my tag, so I'm going to use this Hero Arts stamp. I don't know the name of it, I just know that it's a Hero Arts one. And I'm going to use the butterfly from that stamp set, and I'm going to stamp that with the Versafine Onyx Black ink, and then heat emboss it with some clear embossing powder. I'm going to stamp 6 of those because I want one for the front and back of each of the 3 windows. I prefer to use the black ink and the clear embossing powder over the clear ink and the black embossing powder, because if you get the black embossing powder where it's not supposed to be, it can make more of a mess. It wouldn't matter in this case because I'm going to fussy cut these butterflies out, but you know, if you're stamping a sentiment or something like that, I prefer to do it this way as well. Now I'm going to fussy cut my butterflies out. When you're doing this technique, it's best to have something that is symmetric in your stamping, like a circle or something that will back exactly onto each other. And luckily enough, this butterfly is symmetric, so the reverse will sit exactly over the top of the other one, so I can use this particular image. Now I went ahead and stuck my butterflies back to back. That was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I should have left them single so that I could put one on each side of the acetate on my windows. But as it happened, I didn't think of that, or I thought of it and then forgot about it. So my butterflies are sitting on one side of the acetate. Because the acetate's clear, you can of course see the other side of the butterfly through the window. But if I was to do it again, or when I do it again, I will definitely put one butterfly on each side of the acetate. So if you're thinking of doing this yourself, just remember to not do this step at this stage. Now my gesso is dry on my book paper, and I'm going to cut my tags out. I'm going to make sure I cut the tags out of the centre section of the page. As you saw, this is a pretty thick book and I'm not too worried about losing that extra space. I cut my tags so that they were 3 1/4 by 7 1/4. I cut 2 tags exactly the same size. Now I'm going to take my Sizzix Square Scallops die, and the second smallest one in the set, and I'm going to take that to my big shot and cut 3 holes or 3 squares out of both of those tags. I actually managed to do that by running them through once, and that die actually cut through all 4 layers, so that was pretty handy. Now I'm going to cut the corners of my tag. I've got this old credit card that I've cut 4 different angles on for tags, so that depending on what size the tag is, what angle I cut. So I'm going to now cut those off. I'll cut one side, then I'll turn the tag over and cut the other side using the same edge on my little credit card stencil, I suppose you could call it, template. You can see I'm using the back of the orange tags, orange papers that I made, but once I glue my tag together you won't see that. Now I'm going to cut down a piece of acetate. This is an offcut. It's about the right length. It's about 6 inches, 6 1/4 inches long, and I'm just trimming it down so that it's about 2 1/2 inches wide, I guess. Now I'm going to use my art glitter glue to layer that piece of acetate between those 2 tags that I've cut out. Time now to use my crocodile to put an eyelet in my tag. When I first started scrapbooking or card making, I thought that the crocodile was just way too expensive, and I bought a hand typesetter for eyelets, but anyway, eventually I bought the crocodile, and I have to say that I think it was a good buy. I found some ribbon in my stash that goes with the pattern paper that I've used for the pocket page, and I'm going to thread that through my eyelet. So now I'm going to attach my butterflies to the acetate window. Now this is where I would do it differently. Next time I will not stick my butterflies together. I'll attach one butterfly to the front of the acetate and one to the back of the acetate. And that way there's no chance of seeing the glue. As it happens, using the art glitter glue, you cannot see the glue behind the butterflies. So I was lucky this time, but I won't tempt my luck next time. So now I'm going to use some vintage photo and ink around the edge of my tag. If I had have had my thinking cap on, I would have inked around those windows before I added my acetate. So there's another little hint for beginners, or not so beginners, but to be honest, journals like this I'm pretty new to, so yeah, good tip for beginners. So yeah, if you're going to do this one, here's another tip: don't put your acetate on your tag until you ink around the edges of your acetate. Whoops, I mean windows. Now to embellish my tag a little more, I'm using this Sizzix Thinlits die. It's called, what's it called? I don't know, Wildflowers number 2. So I've cut that from some magazine paper, just some paper I pulled out of a magazine page, and I'm going to attach 2 to each side of my tag of those. I've also fossicked around in my stash and I've found a couple of labels and a couple of little tickets that I'm also going to layer down onto the bottom. So ink around the edge of each of those. I didn't actually ink around the edge of the flower die cuts, they were way too fussy and fiddly. So I'm doing the inking around the label and the ticket and using my art glitter glue once again to attach those to my tag. Now I've done the same sort of thing on the front and the back of the tag. Once they were attached, I used my scissors to just trim anything off that was hanging over the edge. So now I'm just going to have a play around with what I am going to put in the pocket with this tag. I haven't finished work on the tag yet, but I just wanted to get a bit of an idea of what else could go in the pocket. I have got some things that I bought from Paper Inspirations. They have a monthly mystery kit, and these little bookmarks were in that mystery kit, so I was thinking I could add something like that. I'm also going to add a pocket to the front of this pocket. Well, it's not actually, but it is a pocket. It's going to be a pocket and a tuck. So yeah, so I'm just fiddling around here trying to decide what to add. What I decided to use was one of those bookmarks, and I've added a piece of vellum that's got some stamping on it and a piece of lace. The vellum I got in that same mystery pack. I got a whole heap of printed or stamped, they are, little pieces of, there's some craft cardstock, some cream cardstock and some vellum. So I've used one of those, and I've used a piece of lace and I've stitched along the edge, stitched that in place, and I've inked around the vellum. I've also stitched around my tag and the tag windows and all around the bookmark as well. And then this pocket was also in that mystery pack with all these little bits and pieces in it. So I've stitched around that, inked around all the little embellishments inside of the pocket, and that is what I'm going to use to be the pocket on the front of my pocket. So yes, so what I'm going to do now is add that pocket to the front section of my pocket. I'm going to just use liquid glue on the one edge and the bottom, so along the left hand edge and the bottom of that little pocket, and so that I will be able to use that as a tuck spot, so something can be tucked in behind there as well. So I'm just going to attach that with the liquid glue because I want a nice good solid stick. I'm not being thrifty with the glue, I'm applying plenty of glue. Because this page is actually curved, I held that in place until I knew that it was completely dry and wasn't going to come off. So that's my embellishments for today. I will put a link in the description box below to the other videos showing the other embellishments that I've made for this journal. Thank you for watching my video today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you can give me a thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. Okay, see you next time.